See, I went into service for a career, and that's where they sent me.
To Korea?
That's a joke. Well, it's one of those experiences, I don't want to do that again. But if I had missed it, I would have missed quite an experience. It helped me go from a boy just getting out of high school to a man in about 3 or 4 months. Well, I could probably do the manual of arms, shoulder arms, quarter arms, all that now, and to the rear march, all that kind of, I could probably do that now. Present arms. Order arms. Right hand, salute. About face. I can't do that because my feet just won't do it. But you just turn around, about face. About face. When the first ship I was on, I was in the deck force. I was a deck seaman. And my battle station was a loader on a 20 millimeter. Interesting story, not to get gory, but it's a big thing to me. I was a loader on a 20 millimeter, and then because of our operations, they didn't need that gun anymore. They needed someone else on a bigger gun. So they transferred me to that gun. But they also needed someone in the radio shack. And before I went in, I was a ham operator. I could sit down and copy Morse code. So they said, well, no, you go in there, and the guy who was going to go in there, he'll go back to that gun. And the next time we were out, that gun got hit. So that was the end of that. So that little operation of moving people around saved my life. A lot of people say, well, the Navy, they didn't see any combat. Oh, yes, we did. Part of my training was how to load that gun. I was never assigned to it, but to project the gun, the bullet, maybe about that long, so much projectile, and then brass. It's like a big 22. Yeah. And you hold it in your hands like this, and then you drop it into a tray, and then you ram. There's a thing here, you go like that, and that goes in and fires. And then it comes out, and this is where that guy, was going to be my job, but that other guy took, that brass, empty brass comes out, and it's hot. And it kind of comes up, and you can't let them just fall down because then you'll be tripping over them, and you can't work like that. So that man's job, which was going to be mine, but it ended up his, was to catch it and throw it out of the gun tub throw it over that wall. Wow. I was still only a kid, what was I, 19 maybe or so at the time. And I really didn't give it a heck of a lot of thought because I had a whole lot of other things on my mind. But as time went on, I still think about it, yeah. And well, we would go up into the Yellow Sea and then would come down and go around and go up the Sea of Japan. Probably mostly Chinese, because the North Koreans, they got knocked down real quick. If it was just the North Koreans, that would have been over a long time ago. But the Chinese came over. Unlimited number of manpower. I mean, consider a cook baker on a ship, and the ship is doing that. Yeah. How do you put a cake in the oven? Yeah. But come out pretty good. Good. And he was also one of the people you never got angry with. You always suck up to the cook. If I was in the radio shack, you'd be sitting in a chair just like this, athwart ships. In other words, the bow, the stern. So you're mostly doing this, but occasionally you're doing that. You tie yourself in. And the chair is attached to the counter here where the radio equipment is. So you can relax. You can just, and if you do that, it's not too bad. People may ask, do you ever want to die? Yeah. Wow. If you've ever really been miserable, seasick, you really ask, Lord, take me now. You were allowed to go to your bunk and sleep. So you got to leave the radio shack, go outside, walk down, and I'd get sick in that route. So, of course, I'm carrying a coffee can with me. So then you go empty it and try it again. And if you can get back there before you get sick and lay down, then you're okay. But there's a large reservoir way up in the north end, up near the Chinese border, the Chosin Reservoir. And MacArthur was running the show, and he had the North Koreans, Chinese, backed up by that reservoir to the Chinese border. And it was freezing cold. You think these Arctic winds are cold. The Siberian winds are cold. And then that's when more Chinese come in, blowing the bugles, coming in. And they pulled out. We pulled out. And they call that frozen chosen. And if you were part of that, you were considered part of the chosen few. Because we were on a ship, and we would take them where they'd come back. If they could get back to where we were, we'd load them on, also hundreds of civilians loading on, and would take them away. That was bigger in operation than Dunkirk. If you're familiar with Dunkirk, this was bigger than Dunkirk. My father was in the Navy in World War I. My older brother was in the Navy during World War II. I was in the Navy during Korea. And my sons, their age was such that they didn't go to Vietnam. But being in the Navy, it's a pride, I guess. As a matter of fact, some people say, you destroyer guys, you walk like you're still at sea. Well, if I do, it's because I got this thing. But it's a pride. From one point of view, it was a disaster. From another point of view, it was really worthwhile to my life, yeah.